Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Ethan Dettenmeyer and Adrian Paul, right here on LA Talk Radio.
That's how I feel this morning. Isn't that how you feel this morning, Ethan?
I don't know. I don't exactly know what emotion that was.
It's like, I'm in the studio. Oh my God, I just made it.
You did make it. Yes, you did make it just in time for a broadcast.
Do you know, I was listening this morning. I'm sorry. There's something in the news at the moment that's going on. There's this elderly man, 92 years old, in Wisconsin, which I just came back from, actually. He apparently ran into 9 cars. Right, he ran into 9 cars and said his foot stuck on the gas, but the video basically shows him stopping and then reversing and then losing control. So I'm listening to another radio station this morning, 94.7 alternate radio. I'm sorry, sir, but you're a moron. Basically, you're dissing some old gentleman who's 92 years old, and you're telling him he should be shot or he should be actually put to the gas chamber. Those were some of the words. I think that's irresponsible. I'm sorry.
Break it down for me.
Okay,
what happened?
so basically this morning I'm on the radio, I'm listening to this stuff,
right.
and I'm hearing them, yes, the gentleman should actually have his license checked and possibly revoked because he obviously wasn't in control of a vehicle, and that can be manslaughter or murder or, whatever you want to call it. But when you have a gentleman, the thing I realized at that point, that there was a disregard for old people. And I realize that certain cultures have that, and I think that kind of really irks me.
Ageism.
Yeah, I mean, after you get to like 70 or 80 years old, well, you're done and buried, and, let's dump you off into a home. And I think that's kind of, whereas some other cultures actually revere their older people because they've got so much knowledge to give.
Well, being that you and I are both older, and we hope to get even older.
I'm not older. What are you talking about?
We'd like to change the psychological philosophies around here. But you're saying this guy used his car as a weapon?
No. What he did was he was out of control.
For him to be shot?
He was out of control.
Was he out of control?
He just happened to run into parked cars in the parking lot. So he ran into like 9 cars. Ran into one, ran into another. He didn't do anything. He was just, I think, not able to control the car. So they're saying, well, revoke his license, but shot. Maybe we should drown him. Maybe we should do. But all these comments.
Well, I'm pretty sure the penalty for that is not death.
No, I know it's not. But what I'm saying is, just because it was just the mindset that this individual on this radio show had, that I kind of thought, oh yeah, you might find it funny, but wait till you're 92 years old.
It's not funny, actually. What's the show that did this?
Alternate 94.7. I mean, I do listen to him from time to time, but this kind of irks me, and it puts me off.
And he called for the old man to be shot.
Well, he called for other things: drowned, shot. Like gassed. I mean, the different things he said, and kept on about it. I mean, everybody else in the studio is like, yeah, we agree. You should have your license looked at from time to time, etc.
You absolutely should as you get older.
Yeah, of course you should. Absolutely, you should.
So, was anyone hurt in this accident?
No.
So nobody was hurt, but we're going to shoot this guy.
Yeah, just because he's old.
Oh,
that kind of. Anyway, this kind of gets me to the whole bullying. This month we've been dealing with bullying, and we've been dealing with, obviously it's Black History Month this year. This year, Black History Month this year. But bullying basically has been a topic, and we're going to continue on that in this morning. But I just wanted to say there's somebody in the studio that I had the pleasure to meet when we did Peace Fund Games. Angelique Bates.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You look so different. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, I know this person, I think. Because when we're in that gear and all that stuff, all you're seeing is like kind of the face.
Yeah.
And I remember Dalal Brookman too. I remember her in glasses and like this hood like this. And when I saw her Vavoom pictures, I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's what everyone said.
Isn't it true? It's like you something to go, oh gosh, like
suits now and everything.
I know. So you're native from Haiti as well.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that because we do a lot with Haiti on the Peace Fund.
Oh yeah, my father was full-blooded Haitian and my mom is Native American Indian.
Native, yeah. I've got your breakdown here actually. Obviously you've been in the show business since you were 9 months old. Yeah. Months. I was going to say years. 9 months old.
Yeah, 9 months old.
God, and you do everything. You model, you dance, you choreograph. Yes. You do a lot of you do charity work as well. I know.
Definitely.
You also you were on the number one hit TV show All That Nickelodeon as one of the original cast members, 2 seasons, right?
Yes.
Yes. So those of you who might know Angelique, actually, I want to know Alizé. That's the middle thing. What is that? What exactly is that?
Okay. After being on all of that, we had a lot of musical acts that would come through. So I always wanted to be a rapper. My mom wanted me to be a singer. I didn't want to be. And one of my best friend's boyfriend actually gave me that nickname. He said, Alizé, everyone likes that drink and it's cool and you're cool, so I'm going to give you Alizé. And I was one of those not smart artists that put my name in every song. So I had like a million songs with that name, so it kind of just stuck.
Right. Okay. But you've also done stand-up comedy.
Yes.
Okay. You mean, why stand-up comedy? Because that's one of the toughest things to do.
You know what? I have to give it all up to my mom. My mom had me doing so many things, so I had so many different avenues. So when I got older, I could figure out what I wanted to do with life. She put me in Damon Wayans' boot camp for Laugh Factory. And I actually was the first African-American young female at that age to graduate and actually perform and get paid on stage.
If I'd known that, I would have got you to do some stand-up at the Peace Fund Game. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I mean, seriously, but look, on a little bit more serious note, you actually on the National Celebrity Spokesperson of Strike Out for Domestic Violence.
Yes.
Which has released an iPhone app, by the way, and you've signed a record deal and released your single "Can't Fade Me Now." God, what aren't you doing?
Like everything.
I mean, you're doing everything. Well, I think you have
run for like president or something.
I mean, yes, really. I mean, but you've done a lot of different work. You've done. You work with a few foundations to give back to the community. You're on with the Red Cross, Feed the Children, Women's Mission in LA. I mean, we actually deal with missions occasionally. Ethan goes downtown with his daughters with the soup kitchens, right?
Yes, downtown, or even actually here in this part of town,
right,
North Hollywood.
So, and actually, the funny thing was, I was actually going to donate because we talk about donating to some of the missions rather than some places that actually make money on it, which shall remain nameless. No, I'm not going to remain nameless. Why should we remain them nameless?
Yeah, who does that?
You don't know who that is? Okay,
No.
I'm going to tell you in a minute.
Who takes your donation?
You didn't know that
Well, I know people do it, but I mean,
no,
you
it's
call people out to do
basically some of the stores. If you look at the stores that actually you donate your clothes to, and then they sell the stores, there is a full profit margin on that. It's not just solely for charity. So you're donating for charity, and we'll get to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. You were just featured in Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore's End U.S. Hunger Campaign commercial for Kellogg's, and you're also one of the many faces representing the NOH 8 campaign. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the No Hate campaign, I wanted to definitely do that because I have a lot of friends that are in the industry that, they love the same sex. I personally, I don't care. I feel like everyone should love everyone. They should not be discriminated against. And I've had people that used to call me, they were suicidal, they were depressed because, especially the period that we came into the entertainment business, it was so taboo. You couldn't be out in the open with it. So being the age that we were, we had to pretty much keep everything a secret. And some of them just couldn't handle it. Some of them actually killed themselves. So I definitely wanted to be that face because when people see me, they constantly hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, and they're constantly telling me that I've touched their lives, which is another reason why I started getting into charities because I didn't realize how much of an influence I was making on people, and then now I'm a mom. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
How old?
7 and 6 years old.
Oh my gosh, you don't look like you're 7. Yeah. Oh my God. It goes by quickly, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So I had to set a positive role model experience for my kids, And going back to the No Hate campaign, when I did that, so many people were shocked. And I got so many congratulations and so many thank yous because they felt like they were being judged. And for me to be that childhood memory that they had and to be in support of them, they were really happy about it.
Well, you've done a lot for anti-bullying and domestic violence because actually you are a domestic violence survivor.
Yes, I am. And a lot of people are shocked at that.
Is that from when you were a young child or?
You know what? It stems. A lot of people don't know this, so hey, breaking news. When I was 17, I actually was raped. So
wow.
Yeah, so that was something that I pretty much held in for years. And, I didn't go to therapy and all that other stuff. And I think probably maybe 20 years later, I just started, seeing so many fans and so many people in the industry. Like I said, suicide is like depression and mental illness is really serious. And I was like, you know what? I need to really start opening up because I had fans wanting to talk to me, but they didn't think I could relate. And like I said, there's a lot of things we couldn't talk about because it was so taboo in this industry. And it's like, oh, if you talk about it, then it's like you got looked down on. So I'll probably say maybe 20 years later, it would be my kid's biological father is where the major domestic violence situation came from, and restraining orders and police reports and everything.
That's never fun. That takes a lot of energy out of your life as well.
Yes,
it really does.
It does.
But I mean, we've been spending this past 2 or 3 weeks talking about bullying, which actually stems a lot from what people do later on in life. So domestic violence is part of that whole fact that people get away with when they're younger. You mentioned something a minute ago, which we have not talked about yet so far on this show regarding bullying, which is cyberbullying. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about internet and how people hit you up and they talk about it. I just want to get some facts here for people to understand. I mean, cyberbullying, it's a relatively new problem because we're relatively new internet users. I mean, it's only 20, 30 years really that we've been doing this. And yet we've managed to actually, get on the internet and use it for many different reasons, some good and some bad. Exactly. But cyberbullying is an issue. It's a very big issue and it's growing and it's evolved basically. It can be just as devastating as a face-to-face bullying. Mm-hmm. And it goes through all school districts in the US right now. So it is an issue I want to talk about. And I want to put some facts out there. For those of you who don't know, 43% of kids have been bullied online. That's 43%. 1 in 4 has had it happen more than once. More than 1 in 3 young people have experienced cyber threats online. And 81% of young people think bullying online is easier to get away with than bullying in person. Only 1 in 10 teens tell a parent if they have been a cyberbully victim. And of the reported cyberbullying cases, 87% occurred on Facebook. It's a very interesting platform, as I said, good and bad things to do. But Facebook, and unfortunately, most of those victims, only 37% actually only ever reported about being bullied to the social network it happened on. Now, why do you think that is? Why is it that people feel afraid to actually report things that happen to them?
Well, it could be the fear and also the fact that they feel like nothing ever really happens. Because me also being one of the people to actually try to report, whether it's police reports or trying to find avenues to get the people who are bullying me, caught, it's a process. It's almost like who's listening? It's like, or they don't care. Even in school, like when kids are being bullied, 'cause I'm a teacher's assistant also.
Is that another one? If you're like another feather in your? I mean, how many feathers you wearing?
Right.
Rapper, actor, actress, choreographer, dancer, stand-up comedian. Excuse me, I'm going on here.
Right. But it's like the kids they try to get help, and you either run into an official that just doesn't care, whether it's an officer, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a parent. There's people that just aren't listening, or either they just tell you to brush it off and hold your your chin up, and if it's a guy, it's like stop whining and stop acting like a girl.
That's a really interesting, because my daughter at the moment, one of the things is there's a campaign. Have you seen this campaign on TV that they show that it says throw like a girl? So they throw, and people act like throwing like a girl, and then they tell the girl to throw, and she said, "What did you do?" She said, "I just threw." And basically, it's doing is it's creating something in their head that says, "I'm less than better because if I'm throwing like a girl." Mm-hmm. So you can't say that to somebody. Exactly,
and especially with the boys. Like I've heard boys, I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" And they're crying, but they're like, no, I was told if my dad finds out that he's going to hit me or whatever. Like it's stuff like that. They're scared. There's stuff that's going on inside of these households, and you have so many people that are not happy with themselves. I call it internet gangbanging, really. They're hiding behind their screens and they're just lashing out the hurt that people hurt them with, is really what it is. And they know that they can't be touched. They know people can't see them, and they just keep on doing it until you come across someone that can, stop them. And it's really hard on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, the policing on the internet has begun. I mean, it's started, but you have to do that. I mean, you have sites that you can, put the IP out to different certain areas. And they do watch what you're looking at. I mean, even right now, if I'm on the internet now, my camera on my. By the way, all of you out there, the camera on your computer, people can hack into that and watch what you're doing. So don't do things that you're not supposed to do in front of your computer. Just saying. But, let's talk about bullying. I want to talk a little bit about bullying about minority students, because a lot of the time it's people that don't fit in that is the issue. Whether you're new in a school, whether you're the wrong religion, the wrong color, whatever that is, it's usually sitting there. And actually, there's a, they say here that picking on a smart black kid at the front of the class may be more harmful to his future than they once thought. This is basically on a study. But victims of bullying can face a lifetime of psychological scars, but they also suffer academically, particularly African American and Latino students, according to this new research. Now, do you agree with that, or I mean?
Yeah, I can agree with it, because I was home studied for a while, and I would get bullied. Actually, I got bullied in school, and
did you ever miss school for that? I mean.
My mom pulled me out of regular school.
Right, yeah.
So pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, because but also sometimes when kids don't tell their parents, they just don't go to school.
Yeah, they don't, and they'll drop out. I've seen that happen too. You'll stop raising your hand. You'll stop answering the questions that you know the answers to. You'll start answering. Yeah, it's like, I believe it, because I've seen it happen, and I was that kid until my mom was just like, no, I know something. So I just was lucky enough to have one of those moms that was very observant.
It is true when basically, when you don't fit, especially minorities don't fit a certain stereotype, then they are open to bullying.
Yeah, and especially in the inner city, because I'm an inner city kid, and it's just like, if you're too smart, you talk white. That was our main thing. You talk white. So, we were talking proper English, but it was like, oh, you're trying to be white and you're getting clowned. It was just like It's not a no-win situation when you're an inner city kid, It's either you get out of the inner city or you stay in the inner city. If you want to better yourself, you have to move out, and a lot of kids and a lot of families aren't, that lucky to be able to do that.
The funny thing is, you said something a second ago about I've forgotten what it was. Stereotypes, no. Backgrounds, no. Let me get onto it in a second, because I'm just looking at some statistics again, because I love statistics, because it really sort of brings home certain things. They basically say that and also you talked about talking white, because I want to get to that in a second, because that is something that is an issue, and there is a technical term for it as well. But I want to get to that in a second. But the most striking aspects of study basically says that researchers found it's a considerable negative effect bullying has on GPAs of high-achieving black and Latino students. So in other words, bullying, actually, even though that they're actually good, like you said, it's been proven that their GPA goes down. And they found that African-American students who had 3.5 GPAs in the 9th grade and were bullied in the 10th grade experienced a 0.3 point decrease in their 12th grade GPA, significantly higher than non-minority students in that particular study. So it really is, it's something that it's a factor.
And these kids are off the chain now. Like you're getting beat up. You're being cornered. You're being followed. You're getting stuff stolen from you.
What about your kids? Do your kids ever go through any of that? Have that? Because I think of that. My daughter, my son. I'm not worried about. I think I've got to stop him from bullying, not being bullied, because he's like, I'm going over there and I'm going to do, But my daughter's much more. She'll let people run right over her, and the point about standing up and speaking about it and saying, no, this is not acceptable, is what we're trying to teach her.
Yes.
And so how do you deal with...
Well, mine is like a little opposite. Like my daughter, I don't have to worry about her. Like
See, that's the difference. Isn't it funny? It's like...
My son, not so much. He actually had a bullying situation. Like I said, he's 7. And it happened when he was 5 going on 6. I actually had to take him out of the school. He was only in there a week and a half.
A week and a half? New student.
Yeah.
New student syndrome.
And the second day it just went all downhill. And this is where I said that, you actually try to go get help and the people aren't helping. And I reported situations. My son was coming back and telling me that there was a girl or there was a boy or it was a group of kids that were bullying him. And I would tell him, I'm like, well, go tell the teacher, go tell somebody. Well, he was trying to do that. And I was trying to find out. And I was trying to go speak to the principal. I kept on getting pushed off or whatever. Almost a week later, I picked him up from school with a mouthful of blood. And he told me what happened. I approached the teacher about it. No one knew what was happening at all. Everybody was confused. And I pretty much ended up pulling him out because actually that morning I tried to tell the teacher about another student that was bullying him. And I witnessed a kid just hit him in the face. In the line, just hit him in the face for no reason. And my son tried to tell the teacher and she shushed him. and told him to go away.
There's an interesting thing here, because last week we were discussing this issue, and the consensus was, well, you're tattletaling. Where does the line of tattletaling and actually stand there? Because sometimes somebody says there's tattletaling, and sometimes adults don't listen because, like the teacher, she probably had 30 other students, 40 other students. She's like dealing with something else, and she doesn't want to listen to that at that particular time. So as a kid, what do you do?
I'm dealing with that right now, because my son does the telling. Like, he'll tell everything. Teacher, she's doing this. And I'm like, stop. I was like, and right now what I'm trying to tell him is, if it has something to do with you and it's affecting you, then speak on it. But then it's kind of like, I don't want him to turn his head if something serious is happening, because it doesn't have anything to do with him. But like, if he sees wrong happening, like someone's getting beat up or something, it's like, don't turn your head. But it's like, it's hard. I'm dealing with that right now, because I tell him mind your business sometimes, but it's like, but what is minding your business?
Well, Ethan's daughter, we discussed. It's funny because his daughter was actually in that situation, and go ahead, Ethan. You might as well explain it.
You want to break down of the situation?
What happened with your daughter when she saw somebody being bullied and something like that, and she actually stood up and told somebody. She actually went there and
she had a friend who was being bullied, and she kept telling the bully that she was going to report it if she kept doing it. And one day, I guess the girl got choked, so my daughter turned her in and did it later. So she wasn't actually seen reporting to the principal. The principal brought the kids in and talked about them. And the bully, I guess, was called into the office too and punished. And then the bully confronted the victim, the bully victim, not my daughter, but the victim, and said, "Why did you tell on me?"
Yeah.
And then the victim said, "I didn't do it. Sean did it," meaning my daughter.
That's nice.
So, but Sean, they didn't mess with her after that. Oddly enough, But
the interesting thing is that obviously your daughter did what we were discussing. I mean, there is a line between tattletaling and standing up for what is right or what is wrong. I mean, I have that thing with my daughter right now. Everything her brother does, she says, "Oh, he just did this, he did this, he did this." I said, "Don't tell everything. I don't need to hear it. Deal with it." But it's not a question. Again, there as a parent, there is a time when, and we discussed this also, when you actually have to listen to what your child is telling you, because sometimes they're telling you the tattletale. But in between all of that, if you can clear that stuff out, there are those important moments that you're talking about, which you need to hear, so that you can do something about it. Because an adult can do it, whereas a child can't, and that's why it misses so many times, because the adults or the parents don't listen.
Exactly.
Let me ask you another. Let's get to that other thing you just said, which was acting white. Do you think black students purposely underachieve because they attribute being smart to acting white?
I think that when they're being bullied, that's what it comes down to. I mean, we don't see it like that. It's just like we're being proper. We're speaking correct English, and we're doing our work. We're being obedient. We're listening to what the teacher says. We're trying to get good grades. That's what we're trying to do. It's like if the bullies probably don't have that at home, so they're lashing out because they're getting bad grades. Their parents aren't focusing. Either their parent is at work all day, or they just might have a parent that just doesn't care. So they see someone else doing better and getting rewarded. Their thing is, "Oh, you're acting white." If you speak less proper, then you're like, "Oh, you're acting ghetto." But that's society. Society has made it like that. And World Star and hip hop and all kinds of avenues have made it seem like that.
Well, that's an interesting point as well, because as a rapper yourself, talking about rap, what is the influence that young black males and young black females have on society, given the lyrics that they have in some of those songs?
A lot, very negative, which is actually why I changed a lot of the lyrics that I was doing. Back in the day, I was cussing, I was doing all kinds of stuff. I didn't care. I wasn't thinking about people that were listening to me. Honestly, I didn't really think anyone was listening to me like that. When I found out that my music was touching people and I became a parent, I changed what I was rapping about. I'm more conscious right now. It does affect, especially for the males. Everyone wants to be a pimp, a player. They want to have a bunch of women. They want to have a bunch of money, but no one talks about going to college. No one talks about, respect, honoring your parents. They don't talk about that. They talk about bang, bang, shoot 'em up. And that's what these kids are listening to.
Right.
I was in my child's class the other day, and there was a kid that was 7 years old that was reciting words to a song that he shouldn't have been knowing. Mm-hmm. But he was just like, they were doing 100 Fruit Loops that they were putting on a string, and while he's putting these 100 Fruit Loops
He's
on
putting
the
this song. He's putting this song
he's
out, right?
rapping, and I'm like, something about this it's not going together. But that's what his household is. And I see videos online where people are trying to go viral, and these kids are singing songs, and they have them dancing, and they're laughing, they're going hee hee ha ha. It's not funny, but that's what you're encouraging your child to listen to.
Correct.
And
yes.
your child's going into the school with my child.
Right.
And it's not mixing.
Well, you know, the thing is we also talked about this fact that bullying and things like this are learned behavior. It's not something that we automatically are born with.
Yeah,
it's a learned behavior, and it's the parents and the society around them that teach them how to behave this way.
Because a lot of parents, sometimes they don't realize it, but they're bullying their own kids.
Of course they are. Yeah.
And they don't see, like, they're just like, I'm disciplined. No, when you're cussing at your child and you're telling them that they're stupid every 2 seconds, or you're like, what's wrong with you? And you're talking to them like an adult. And then they're hearing you talk about someone else. Oh, when I see her, I'm going to do this to her, because I've heard those conversations. Your kids are copying all of that. They're copying what you're watching. If you're watching, Maury Povich every 2 seconds, or Jerry Springer, like, they're copying what they're seeing too. So you have to be conscious of what you let your child listen to and what they're watching.
Yeah, and I don't think most people, they don't know how much a child is actually soaking up when they're between 2 and 5 years old, especially at that age.
Yeah.
Because they are soaking up absolutely everything, and they repeat stuff that you didn't even know that you said like 3 months ago, 2 months ago. That's where you get shocked. It's like, where did you learn that from? And possibly you said it. Now, it's interesting because my son, right now, his word is stupid. And I don't know where he got it from, but he'll call me stupid, he'll call his mom stupid, he'll call his sister stupid, and we're trying to stop him from doing it. Yeah. Last night, he actually went to the neighbor's house, and this neighbor who is not a very nice person anyway. But he called him stupid. So the guy didn't do that. He came running to us and screamed at my wife. Basically, I don't appreciate being called stupid. It's like, but he's 2.
Right.
He's 2.5.
Right.
It's like, and my wife dealt with it, but he didn't talk to my child. He basically didn't say, look, you can't deal with that, because he doesn't have kids. And my point is, and well, like you said, until you have kids, until you're in a certain situation like that, you don't know what it's like. And then you change your attitude and ways of being. This gentleman screamed at my wife. My wife basically told my son, go over there. You did it. You go over there and you apologize, because you don't call. So he went up to the garage door, which was closed. And my wife heard him going, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like this. He's 2.5. And I heard from the other side, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Yeah. But some people don't understand what it's like when you have those situations, and I think it is the parents at that. My wife could have said, "Oh well, he shouldn't call him." Well, forget it. But you've got to address the situation,
right? And some parents don't do that. Like, you guys did a great job. Some parents are just like, "Oh, whatever," or they get an attitude with the neighbor. Yeah, the neighbor comes over and it's like, "Don't be talking to my kid like that." Right. It's like, okay, your child is still watching what you're doing.
Have you seen this new? There's a new show on called Slap. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh my god! But it's true. This is interesting because it's the story of being in a family situation. It's a barbecue or whatever it is. The kids are playing. The one kid is swinging this bat, this baseball bat, and the other kids are like moving away from him, and he keeps swinging it. And one of the parents is like, "Stop swinging that bat! Stop swinging that bat! Stop!" And the kid doesn't. So he gets up and goes and grabs the kid and says, "What are you doing? How did you nearly hit my son?" And slaps him. Now that changes the entire dynamic because it's somebody else's parent disciplining and actually physically abusing one of your child. Now, so how do you deal with that? Because I've got my wife's situation is also the same thing. She go to the park. Some parents come in and start telling your child what to do. Right. Excuse me, I'm standing here. I'm a parent. I can deal with it. Thank you very much. Right. You go parent your own child.
Right.
So there's also that to deal with.
Yeah, I've had those situations. I've had it even within the family. My thing is, verbal is okay, especially if the other parent is there and they're actually doing something physical. That's not anyone else's place but the actual parent. I'm one of those, I'm not going to go and put my hand on anyone else's child. I will say something if you're not saying anything and your child is harming my child.
Exactly, that's the difference.
Like I had a situation. It was at a party, Christmas party, and the child was cussing actually at my child, and I did say something back, but then I had to apologize. I said, you know what? I'm about to go get your mother. And I walked out. I got the mother. I said, you know what? I just yelled at your child. I apologize, but I need you to come and handle this situation because this is what's happening. And she was just like really shocked because no one's ever did that. And then she was like, oh, she's never done that before. And I'm like, I seriously doubt that.
I doubt that because the child doesn't do it once.
But you just didn't have anyone actually say something.
Yeah. Let me go back to a second because we're talking about the acting white theory. Now, this is actually a theory. It was originated in the 1980s by Dr. John Ogbu's ethnographic research, and it's commonly used to explain present-day achievement gaps between black and white students. The acting white theory was mentioned in the then-Senator Barack Obama in 2004 when he said, children can't achieve unless we raise their expectations and turn off the television sets and eradicate the slander that says a black youth with a book is acting white. Do you agree with that?
I agree with it because that's what society has made it seem like. I mean, I just finished seeing a video where this girl, they just did an interview and a whole segment on acting, what does acting white mean? So it definitely is creating a problem where they're starting to do segments on it. And she pretty much said the same thing. It's pretty much with the education basis, take them away from the TV. And that's one thing about the TV. TV is not what it used to be.
No.
We used to be able to put our kids in front of Sesame Streets and stuff like that and be able to walk out. Now people are still doing that. They're putting them in front of Nickelodeons and other channels I won't say, but PG is not PG anymore. Like you said with the stupid, I've heard my kids repeating stupid off of an educational program, and I came back in like, oh my God. So TV is definitely, I would say, definitely bringing the education downhill. And as far as grammar, because there's a show, I'm not going to say the name, but they have them acting ghetto. And their concept of ghetto is slang and all kinds of stuff. And, hey girl, what's like? They got them talking like that, and they're actually copying what's happening in the schools about the education, throwing it out the window, and bullying. They're bullying in this actual show, and I'm just like looking at my kids. But
you're basically then promoting what's
happening.
Exactly.
So my kids are thinking, oh well, maybe that is acting white, and it's just. Social media and the media in general is just, it's not helping, and I agree with the president on that. We need to just, bring the standards back up, take them away from the TV. We actually cut the radio off. We don't have a TV in my household, actually.
I want to do, we've got John Beerley coming in a second. John, are you there at the moment?
I am here. Good morning, Adrian and Ethan and Angelique. Welcome to Peace Fund Radio. We're happy to have you.
Hey.
John is our behind the scenes guru on knowing about absolutely everybody that comes onto the show, but he's also brings us the hero of the week. I want you to bring us the hero right now, John, if you can, because this issue is kind of I've got more to talk about this issue, and we'll highlight a couple of organizations that are also making a difference on this, but I take it you've got our hero ready and waiting.
I do. We have lots of really exciting things are happening on the Hero of the Week front. We're really working to get some of these young people on the show very soon. Lauren Coaxum of Think Before You Type Incorporated will be coming on next week to talk about the program that she and her sister Victoria have put together. Victoria can't come on because she is studying abroad in Indonesia for pre-med studies. Lauren herself is at Marymount University studying pre-med. These two girls put together something called Think Before You Type, which can be found at tbytinc.org, where they put together dares and other programs for kids to learn about cyberbullying, to learn to think before you type, to bring kids together. We have Sanaa Javani, who will be coming on the show very soon. And please excuse my voice. It's 18 degrees here, and I've got a really nasty head cold.
Well,
we have 10 inches.
Lovely. You got 10 inches of snow. We don't. We're actually in the sun here.
I'm sure you are. The high tomorrow here is going to be 4 degrees.
Although I'm going to Cleveland tomorrow. This could be for like 3 days to the Cleveland Con. So all of you out there, if you're going to see me tired by. Anyway, go on, carry on, John.
But yes, Sanaa Javani will be also joining us on the show, in a couple of weeks. Sanaa put together something called International Natural Day after, at the age of 12, all of her hair fell out because she has alopecia. The kids in school bullied her mercilessly for this, including 2 girls who put a note in her locker titled 50 Ways You Should Kill Yourself. And rather than letting it all bring her down, she decided one day, you know what, I'm just going to start going to school without my wig. And when she did that, other kids who had been bullied came up to her and said, wow, I can't believe you're doing this incredibly courageous thing. You've inspired me to, believe in myself. And now International Natural Day, which she founded, is celebrated in 28 countries around the world. And Sanaa actually sent me a really nice quote to read on today's show. This was held on Friday, February 13th. She holds it on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, because her motto is, before you can truly love someone else, you have to love yourself. She says, Natural Day was life-changing. It's always amazing to see people being brave and breaking free from the things that hold them back. I saw so many different things, from people going without their wigs to people opening up about abusive pasts. It's honestly so amazing to see the strength some people have. People tell me that I inspire them with my story, but the truth is their stories inspire me. Natural Day leaves me feeling so motivated every year, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. Those words from Sanaa Giovanni, a 17-year-old who is inspiring other kids to embrace themselves and inspire others to do the same. And speaking of Cleveland, that brings us to our brand new hero of the week, who will be joining us in a couple of weeks as well. This young man's name is Justin Bachman from Cleveland, Ohio. Justin is 17 years old. He has Tourette syndrome, ADHD, and also something called dysgraphia, which is a motor skills disorder resulting in an inability to write legibly. Now, because of the tics that he has with Tourette's, because of some of the other motor skills issues that he has had in his life, he was bullied very severely from a very young age by other kids who just didn't understand his motor tics, his vocal tics. They didn't understand that it was from a disorder. And by the time Justin was 11 years old, he had attempted suicide 3 times. Can you imagine attempting suicide 3 times before the age of 11? During his 2012 school year, his disabilities caused him to be in a wheelchair for a while. Finally gets out of the wheelchair, joins the track team, and at one of the and imagine again this amazing physical accomplishment. You get out of your wheelchair, you join the track team, and the referees disqualify him in a track meet because of his Tourette's tics. They thought he was talking trash about the other team. They thought he was saying something or acting goofy. It was just his Tourette's. And the team, the coach, everyone tried to say, look, this is, he wasn't doing anything disrespectful. This is just how he is. But they disqualified him anyway. So for a lot of Justin's life, it was a situation where he felt like he was, for every 1 step forward, it was 2 steps back. And he decided, well, what can I do to let other people like myself know that they're not alone, but also educate other people as well about the situations and things that some people are dealing with. So we founded an organization called Honor Good Deeds, which you can read about at honorgooddeeds.com. And over the last few years, Justin has spoken to 41,000 people in schools, clubs, civic organizations. He has put together something called the Tolerance Fair. In its very first year, it had 1,000 people attend. Second year, 3,000 people attend. And then this past year, in its third year, 4,000 people attend. He has received the President's Volunteer Service Award from President Barack Obama and the Council on Service and Civic Participation, bronze medals for the Prudential Spirit of Community Award, tons and tons and tons of other awards. And he also works directly with kids all the time to let them know that they're worth something and that education and understanding each other's issues is the only way we're going to get together and truly understand each other. It's absolutely an incredible story. I spoke to his mother, Lisa, earlier today. She's very excited, and so is Justin about coming on the show very soon. So, Justin Bachman, you are our Peace Fund Radio Hero of the Week. I have so much more to tell you about this incredible young man, but I'm going to keep it short this week because we're going to have him on very soon to tell you himself.
I think that's awesome. I think, when a kid stands up, and we were talking about this a second ago, about, you go and do something. A lot of the time kids don't do anything. They don't stand up for, listen, I can do this. I can, like you said before, do something about it. and I can talk to other people about it and share it. And, honor good deeds is a really good thing. Because actually, sometimes I used to do this when I'd say, okay, what's my good deed for the day? Just one thing I do, whether it's opening a door for somebody, if it's letting somebody go ahead of you, whatever, just one thing in the day. And that eventually multiplies, because when you do it for somebody always automatically goes, oh, that was nice of them, and they do it back. But what we do, and what we were talking about this morning, is by example, we show other people, either through TV, through songs, through whatever else, that it's cool to actually not behave that way. So my point about, and that's why Peace on Radio is about, is to show people that it's cool to actually do something good. I want to go back to something a second ago that we were talking about a minute ago, which was the acting white theory. Because again, this is, this theory basically promotes the misconception that black students underachieve because they have corrupted attitudes. There's actually the achievement gap in the multicultural literacy. The U.S. Department of Education describes this achievement gap as the difference in academic performance between ethnic groups. The current disparity in academic achievement amongst low-income African Americans and Hispanics as compared to their white peers is alarming. By the fourth grade, African American and Hispanic students are, on average, nearly 3 academic years behind their white peers. Now, I'm going to tie this into something that Bill O'Reilly on Talking Points had on America's race problems. Now, he stated some stuff here which I think was rather out of the ordinary and rather much. He said, the reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family. Right now, about 73% of all black babies are born out of wedlock. That drives poverty, and the lack of involved fathers leads to young boys growing up resentful and unsupervised. What do you think about this?
I believe that's true to an extent. My mom was a single parent. Like I said, from the inner city. If it hadn't been for her giving me a different avenue, I would have either been dead already, in jail, or in someone's gang, because it was definitely there. They feed on that. They tried to recruit me a couple of times, and it really takes the mother or whoever the single parent is and that child to have that mindset, which is not common. Unfortunately, if the family is broken, that's pretty much it. The kids that are being bullied end up becoming parents and end up actually teaching their child whatever it was that affected them, whether it's the acting white, I don't want you to start doing that because then everyone's going to make fun of us. Not just you, but of us. You have to set an example, do this. I need you to go out and make money for the family. It definitely brings it down, because you have a lot of kids that are raising kids now, and they're getting younger and younger because they didn't have the father. You have the females some females, they didn't have that father figure, so they try to find a father figure elsewhere, whether it's in the boyfriend, sugar daddy, the pimp, or whatever. You have the boys where you have women. Some women aren't able to do it. They're trying to be that dad. And first of all, you'll never be able to replace a man. You can. No, you can't. Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez has just. Jennifer Lopez has just actually hired a nanny because she says she doesn't have a man in her life, and she needs to sort of have her son basically have a father or male influence to actually do those things that boys do.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to receive so many messages about that, because that's one thing I hate about when it comes to Mother's Day or Father's Day. It's always like, hey, well, happy Father's Day to you too. It's like, no. It's Mother's Day, that's it. Because every child does need a father. It may not be the father that was originally theirs, but I feel like every child needs a male figure. And a lot of that is missing in the, almost said in the industry, in the inner city places. And you have these women trying to raise these boys to be men, and that's impossible. So they're going out being disrespectful. They're going out pimping these girls, getting them pregnant, and knocking them up, just leaving them.
Well, let me ask you. Bill O'Reilly also stated another thing. He says, white people don't force black people to have babies out of wedlock. Now, this is his quote. That's a personal decision, a decision that has devastated millions of children and led to disaster, both socially and economically. So, raised without much structure, young black men often reject education, gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it's a personal decision. What do you think about that statement?
I don't agree with that, because first of all, there's a ghetto in every race.
That is true, there is.
And I have seen Caucasian, I've seen Latino, I've seen Asian, be just about as off as the minorities, you know. I've seen them knock up the girls and leave them because they're mocking what they see on TV. They want to be hip. They want to be cool. I mean, it's not a race car, you know. Everyone, like I said, and like, even when they want to do about the county, everybody, even to Armenians, are on the county. So it's not a black thing. It's not a Mexican thing, you know.
But you know, the other statement he did make was the fact that in the jails across America, the predominant ethnic group are African American men. So this is where his issue basically comes from, the fact that, why is that? Is it because there are more African Americans out there? Is it because of the culture? Is it because of the there's not enough teaching young African American women about birth control? About what is it?
Well, I feel like black males are targeted more. First of all, I just feel like they're targeted more. So a lot of them are being thrown into jail a lot more. Some of them are being set up. Some are actually committing crimes. And my thing is, if you break the law, then you have to do the time. But there are certain people that are, when it comes to black males, let's say they stole some clothes or something, and I've seen this situation happen, they might get 5 to 7 years. Something really ridiculous. But you might have an Asian kid or a Caucasian kid probably beat the crap out of his girl, and he just got away with probation or something. So it's like, when it comes to black males, it's like the odds are against them. And I actually got mistaken for a black male.
How can you get mistaken for a black male?
Right.
There's nothing that male about you.
Thank you. And in this situation, this is when I realized that there was a problem, especially with the LAPD. I was coming from work. I had a hoodie on. So with the whole Trayvon Martin thing, I could relate to it. I had a hoodie on. I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time. He had just escorted me from work, and something told me to tell my mom that we had just made it. And we didn't have a car at the time, so I was walking to the bus stop, and it was like around the corner where I stayed. And I was like, okay, we made it, but we're going to go to the bus stop. She was like, okay. 5 minutes later, we hear gunshots. Me being the smart person I am, I hear gunshots. I'm going back into the house. I'm like, hey, we need to go. Well, apparently, there was a motorcycle cop that went by. I had a hoodie over my head, and I'll never forget it. The motorcycle cop went by, and then probably less than 2 minutes later, there were 5 police cars with guns drawn, 2 officers per each car, drawn on me and telling me to drop, and that I fit a description. What description did I fit? And they had me drop to the ground. They were all males. Had me drop to the ground, face first. And I remember one of the officers, after he had this gun pointing in my back, pulled my hoodie up and was like, "Oh, it's a girl," and was like, "Call the female cops because they're males. They can't touch you."
Right.
But they had already slammed me into the ground and like all kinds of stuff, and then they ended up letting me go. But you just said I fit the description.
Right.
So now they kept my ex down there, and they had nothing on him. But like I said, they targeted black males, whether you're doing something or not. I don't know why. I can't even begin to put my hand on that, because this has gone on for years and decades and whatever. And I mean, I could go political and go down in history, but I feel like that's why a lot of them are in jail. Do I think a lot of them deserve to be there? No, I don't think they are. But I think if they were a different race, that a lot of them wouldn't be in there.
All right, so the topic today has been bullying. There are a few organizations that are dealing with that subject right now. The Validation Project started in 2013 by 16-year-old Valerie Weissler. The Validation Project is an international organization committed to uniting teenagers worldwide to use their unique talents to make their positive mark on the world. Check them out at www.thevalidationproject.com. Also, the B1 Project, founded by Matthew Kaplan after his young brother Josh was bullied at their middle school. The B1 Project takes a novel approach to the problem of middle school bullying by addressing the underlying problem, the school culture that allows bullying to thrive. So check them out there. John Beerley, are you still there listening?
I am. We've actually had both Valerie and Matthew on the show giving interviews. So please, check out our archives and check out those interviews. They had incredible things to say.
Right. And Justin Backman, thank you so much. Continue your work. John, thank you for bringing him to us this morning.
Absolutely. And he'll be joining us on the radio in a couple of weeks.
Okay, fabulous. Angelique, we're about wrapped up in time. What's next for you, very quickly?
Well, waiting for Peace Fund this year.
Peace Fund Games is going to happen again, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a board meeting next week to work that out, because that's going to, hopefully we'll bring that back later this year or early next year. So we're working on that. I know you've got so much stuff going on. Congratulations. Congratulations to your kids. And thank you so much for coming in this morning and talking to us. Because it's always a pleasure to see you. Ethan, thank you for bringing us to the show, and all of you out there. Remember, the Peace Fund does need your donations to even keep this show alive, to actually help the kids that we do support. So you can go to our site, www.thepeacefund.org. I don't usually do a quote for the Peace Fund, but we'll do one today. So go out there. We're actually going to be having a new site. I know I promised that a year ago, but we've had some issues dealing with the actual look of the site. So in closing, we're going to close with a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate test of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and moments of convenience, but where he stands in moments of challenge and moments of controversy. This is Adrian Paul and Ethan Detmeyer. We'll talk to you again.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Ethan Detmeyer and Adrian Paul, right here on LA Talk Radio.